Welcome to Mind Over Matter, where we feature young Jamaicans who are shooting for the stars. I'm your host, Margaret Boyne. Remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell. He's a young journalist with the Jamaica Observer. He has received the prestigious Press Association of Jamaica's Young Journalist of the Year for 2 consecutive years, 2021 and 2022. He's a Calabar High School alum and a survivor of the military operation in Tivoli Gardens in 2010. He shares his incredible journey about the impact this event had on his life and his journey as an award-winning journalist. My guest is Romardo Lyons. Welcome to Mind Over Matter, Romardo.
Greetings. It's a pleasure, my pleasure being here.
You won the Press Association of Jamaica Top Young Journalist Award for 2 consecutive years, 2021 and 2022. You also received the Raymond Sharpe Hugh Crosskill Award for Sports Journalism in 2021. What do these awards mean to you personally and professionally?
Personally, I would say that these awards reinforce the idea that, I would have already had that, my work has impact, my work means something, and just also reinforce as well that I am applying what I've learned, because this is what I studied for at university. Mm-hmm. So it reinforces to me that I'm applying what I've learned and I'm doing what needs to be done, without sounding too boastful. It's not meant to be boastful, but it really does reinforce those things. And professionally, I would say that, it's intertwined, because one shouldn't depend on awards to prove to themselves that they're doing remarkable work. But at the end of the day, I would be lying if I said that receiving those awards didn't give me at least some what's the word? Comfort, for want of a better word. I'm doing good work. I'm going out and getting stories, and these stories have impact. So,
all right. So, what inspired you to become a journalist?
Well, I'm inspired by my life, and I'll explain. So, I grew up in Tivoli Gardens, and I would have experienced the 2010 Tivoli Gardens incursion. May 23rd, 2010, Labor Day.
Yeah.
Just all of the happenings, the occurrences of that day, being under a bed with my family, hoping and praying that we would have survived, and even moving past all of the tears and the uncertainty of life, and getting to a point where we were watching newscasts on TV and just seeing how certain things were portrayed, how certain things were put to the Jamaican people. That kind of thing lit a fire in me to say, at that young age, I was 13, and say that this is something I want to do. I want to tell stories like this. I was innocent. I am innocent. Family members are innocent. And I felt at the time that a lot of that wasn't being shown. The community was just being painted in a light that would give the impression that anybody that remained there, anybody that was there at the time, must have been involved in the wrongdoing and must have been criminals. I knew that was not true. So at that time, I was already thinking that I wanted to tell stories of people who live and grew up in inner city communities. So that's really the inspiration behind, this career path.
And this was easily considered one of the most horrific period in our history. And you were actually there. I mean, we have heard the stories, we have read the papers, but you were actually there who witnessed it. And can you give us the worst experience you had during that time?
Well, there are many, but one that comes to mind immediately would just be being under the bed. Being so terrified. I had a phone at that time. Calls were coming in because everybody was checking up. This is when it just started. And newscasts and broadcast, they weren't as detailed, it was just reports of shooting happening in Tivoli. So, your family, your friends outside of the community, schoolmates who would have heard and, they're reaching out. And I remember having to decline calls because you're just so afraid and you don't know, you just want to focus on what is happening to know what you're going to do, if things escalate. So I had to be declining calls. And I remember a call coming in from a form teacher at the time from Calabar High School, classmates calling me, they just wanted to check up. And those that I managed to answer, I was just like whispering and I'm laughing now. But in that moment, I literally thought I was going to die.
So what impact did that have on you and your family?
Biggest impact on me coming out of that was just to excel, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
It is so multifaceted as well, because on one sphere, excelling to prove to people that not because I was born and raised in Tivoli Gardens means that I'm going to be running around with a gun and shooting at police. That aspect. There's one aspect as well where, yes, it's like a second chance at life because so many youngsters at that time died.
And persons that you know personally.
Yes. So many youngsters did not get a chance to make it to 15, 16, all of that. So I feel like I was saved by God for a reason, and I just have to make the best of my life.
So did you receive counseling after that trauma?
No. I laugh because that's a question I get a lot. In the inner city, we just learn to accept and move on. And I won't say that I am not affected. I'm not still affected by it, but no counseling. That's the same for the family. We just kept it moving.
But it's not too late, though, Romardo, for therapy, because whether you want to believe it or not, it has affected you.
Definitely.
Did that affect school?
Yes, to some extent, because immediately following the incursion, I remember I had to miss school for like 2 weeks. Just to get sorted, nobody was in the frame of mind to send you to school. And, my father has a shop in Coronation Market, downtown Kingston, in close proximity to the community. At that time, certainly he would not have returned immediately. So things like lunch money and, would have been impacted. So those 2 weeks that I would have been out of school, of course, I would have missed out on valuable information, certain lessons. But for the most part, I would say that I was able to bounce back. I went all the way up to sixth form at Calabar High School, got my subjects, and went on to university. So I would say the impact, yes, I was impacted, but it was not on a large scale. That would have, thrown me off course and affected me.
Well, talk a little about Calabar. What was school life like, and talk about the support that you got there.
Calabar, let me just start by saying the greatest school in this part of the
hemisphere. My son might agree with that too.
Calabar, I feel like that is where the groundwork started for who I am today. As I said before, the incursion kind of birthed that interest in journalism and news. But had I not gone to Calabar High School, I would not have been exposed to, certain subjects, certain teachers who would have guided me along the way. I'm talking about teachers of English language, literature, who I just found so interesting because I love words. So that's where everything connected. The support was tremendous. My form teacher at the time, Miss Lynch, she did everything that she could to ensure that I was resettled and all of that. And even during the incursion, I would be getting calls, and those that calls I couldn't answer, and those that if I answered, it was just like a few seconds to say, I'm okay, I'm not dead. So that kind of support was, however small it was at that time, it meant so much and did so much. And guidance counselors, they would check in with me, and it didn't stop at grade 7. It went all the way up, even to this moment, when I returned to Calabar High School and, speak with younger students, teachers, guidance counselors, they make it their duty to bring up the incursion because they feel like to show to students that this is something I experienced and I was still able to rise above that. It will, show to the students that no matter what they're going through, they can still excel and stuff like that. So the incursion was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
So long ago, but it's still here. It's still here with me. Which goes back to your point that you just raised. It's still not too late for counseling. But at the moment, though, I'm not seeing any negative effects. Hopefully it stays that way, but that's not how life works. But
But what about the view, your view of the police?
I've heard that question before, and I still don't know if I know how to answer it. But to be honest, I don't have any hatred towards police. I guess it's because I'm a journalist now, and I know that if one person in a community says that X is a bad person, it isn't the view of the entire community. So that is also a reflection of the police force. The police officers that came in the community at the time, their actions cannot be used to judge all police officers. And in my career now, I've had to interview, work with, come across police officers who treated me with respect, who appeared to be very good people. So I guess that's also something with like everything has two sides. It's like a coin. Life is like a coin. So what is on this side isn't necessarily what is on the other side. So no hard feelings towards police officers at all. None whatsoever.
But how are you able, though, Romardo, to handle the stigma that comes with persons who feel that, boy, from the inner city, or especially Tivoli Gardens, boy, you must bother,
Ever since I was young and growing up, even from primary school, St. Aloysius Primary, a lot of people couldn't believe that I was from Tivoli Gardens. They were like, you're so quiet. And because naturally I'm very quiet, and even at home, I didn't really go outside and things like that. I was always inside watching TV. I could watch TV forever. But how I deal with that? I guess you prove those people wrong by just looking at your books. And even when you've gotten past the point of school, just stick to your craft, own your skills, and all the rewards that come will be a testament to the fact that I am bigger than the stereotypes, and that I should not be judged because of where I'm from, or where I'm going, or I should only be judged by my actions and stuff along that line. But at Calabar, though, the experience was truly interesting because that came up again. A lot of people were like, "You really come from Tivoli?" They want to know everything. They want to know what they do when
it's like.
Fire. They want to know everything. It was crazy, but never in any disrespectful way. Just boys being boys and stuff like that. They want to know if you go to the dance. They want to know if you stay on the road late and all of that. They want to know what you see, what you hear. If you can go to that section of the community. It was always just so, comical. And not just with me, with other classmates who would be from other communities, other inner city communities, so like Trenchtown and stuff like that. It's just the same thing. Really and truly, I think people are just so intrigued that they want to know everything.
So you studied at Carimac?
Yes.
So where did the funding come from for that?
Whoa. All right. So as I said, my father has a shop in Coronation Market. That has been the source of my entire academic journey. Of course, my mother is there as well. When I was in primary school to the early stages of high school, she worked as a municipal police officer with the Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation. So both combined, but I have to say that largely my father took care of all of that, even up to university when tuition was not as small as primary and high school. He made so many sacrifices. Went to the market earlier, stayed later to sell more and get more money. And there was even a point where, because of internal conflicts in the community and wars and stuff like that, it was risky to be going out so early. And even when he was there early, a lot of people weren't going to the market, no profits, nothing like that. I started uploading videos to YouTube, and that was what, helped us out. I remember one month I got paid from YouTube. It was like 200 and something thousand Jamaican dollars. And I took like half of that and covered tuition. And that's how I was able to fill out my results and stuff like that. Because with you, if you don't pay, and results come out, you don't know if you fail or pass a course, and you can't register for the next semester and stuff like that. So, yeah. So I have to say big up to my father. Trust me, he went above and beyond, and I'm forever indebted, honestly.
But life in Tivoli Gardens, though, Romardo, I'm sure you didn't see a lot of persons going off to university.
Looking at the bigger picture, the community picture overall, yes, there weren't a lot of people going to university, especially young men. But I have this one cousin who was just like my inspiration. I think I told her before. I don't know if she knows that when she watches this, she will hear.
Yes.
She also works at KSAC. Her name is Banya Brown. She's just like a poster person. She was my poster person. And I just tried to follow in her footsteps. She went to high school, she got her subjects, she went to university and all of that. So that was kind of a path I followed. And other than that, I knew that I wanted to be a journalist, even though at the time I wasn't saying journalist, I was saying media personality. And that's a phrase she taught me as well, because I remember at the grade 10 level or grade 9, we got to a point where we were supposed to be filling out a form to select certain subjects that we wanted to do that were in line with our career paths. And I called her and like, on the paper, I knew the subjects and everything. And you were supposed to put on the line, what is a career? And I called her and like, oh, must put money no. And she said, what you want to do? And I explained, she said, put media personality. And is that from that moment going forward, it's just crossing the hurdles one by one. CSEC, CAPE, and then ensuring that I got accepted to university. Then at the university level, ensuring that, you do what you have to do to get through semester 1, then semester 2 of year 1. Then year 2 comes along, you have to get through semester 1 and semester 2. And year 3 comes along and the same thing. So with the goal in mind to one day be a journalist, that is what kept me going.
You're presently at Observer.
Jamaica Observer, yes.
Did you start out there, or you were started out somewhere else?
I started out at the Jamaica Gleaner, where I was on Star Desk. So I was a star reporter for about a year and a couple months. And then even before that, I did my internship at RJR.
Oh, okay.
Internship. So, yeah. I've been everywhere.
So as a journalist, though, what are some of the kind of stories that or issues that you're passionate about covering?
Well, I am a news journalist, but I must say I really, really love doing features. Features. And if anybody looks at my work, they'll see that they'll see the link to inner city. I was
Mm.
looking at my portfolio the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, I've done so many stories. On Tivoli alone, I just like finding stories with
Yeah.
young people who
Mhm.
are doing great from these same communities. Um, Tivoli Gardens, we were from Denham Town, Trench Town. I love those stories. And when you hear that the struggles they go through,
Mhm.
people with financial problems to kill, like they're in positions where they don't know if they're going to make it out. And when you see their
Mhm.
resilience and things they put in place to ensure that they make it, those stories
Mhm.
is like
Touch your
amidst
heart. Mhm.
amidst all of the crime and the killing and everything,
Mhm.
those stories, I feel like they do more for the journalists than they do for the people reading them. Because if
Mhm.
you're writing that man was found beheaded, girl killed and stuff like that, you as a journalist, you need, some kind of positivity as well. So
Mhm.
those stories, they do that. But apart from the features, I like going to rural Jamaica,
Mhm.
roving and finding stories that people really don't know about.
Mhm.
Like, for example, I did a story in 2021, peak pandemic, and I found two young men, two cousins, like 13 and 12, and they would walk for like miles to get to a point, like a business place,
Mhm.
just so they could get internet connection to go on online classes or things like that. That we know that connectivity was a big issue with virtual learning, but those stories that if you aren't face to face with the people who are affected, you really don't
Mhm.
understand the scope or what some people have to do. So I would have
Mhm.
told you that I was a house rat, always inside growing up. So through journalism, I am getting to learn about a lot of places.
Mhm.
Going to Saint Elizabeth, Westmoreland. We never got to place
Before, yeah.
ever.
Mhm.
So through going to those places and getting the stories, I'm also feeding myself, I guess. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. What would you say are some of the challenges that journalists face in Jamaica?
Oh my gosh. You want me to rant now? So I have this issue. I have this issue with some people.
Mhm.
They feel as though journalists, reporters are their enemy. So for
Mhm.
example, well, I don't even have to give an example. You go in an area because of a particular issue, and you will always have those people. I don't want to talk. I don't want to video me. And
Mhm.
they're like, I am here to highlight your issues. I'm here to get your voices, to amplify your voice so these issues can be corrected and stuff like that. And those people who have this negative feeling towards reporters, they always try to persuade other people. So, for example, I go to your community and see you're talking to you and you're willing to speak to me and I'm there. Somebody
Yeah.
comes along, what you talking
I
to him
say,
for?
yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
go over there, someone, and leave the people them. So that is one thing.
Yeah.
And they are like that until something happens to them personally. And then they will call you at
Mhm.
3 o'clock in the morning. They wanted to drop everything and come now. So they don't know the value of reporters until they're
Mhm.
put in a situation where they need to have the prime minister hear their their plight or something like that.
Yeah. They need you then. All right. With the spread of fake news and misinformation, how you ensure though that your stories that you report are accurate?
More precaution.
Mm-hmm.
I when it comes on to my work, I'm a coward. I said that to my managing editor just yesterday. For real, because I don't want to be sued, and then I don't want to put out anything, and then social media is such a big thing now.
Yeah.
I don't want to put out
Mm-hmm.
anything about you, and then all you have to do is go on your IG and say, Romardo Lyons is such a liar, and that and
Mm-hmm.
that, and everybody come and attack me. So
Mm-hmm.
you really have to check, double check, triple check,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it's easy to be led astray,
Mm-hmm.
especially
Mm-hmm.
with social media.
Right.
People will post that X did this to them and all of that. You can't just go with that. You have to check X, and then you have to check the people who know X, and then you have to get confirmation. So you can't just run with one side. So no, more than ever, trust me. You can't just take someone's word for it. You have to ensure that all the I's are dotted and all T's are crossed.
And what I've noticed too, in social media, like everybody's a journalist now. So how does that affect you as a real journalist?
This was something we discussed. I discussed with some friends of mine who are also journalists. I'm not sure I know how to answer that as relates to how it affects me, but I know it affects the profession. For example, let's say a child was killed in Clarendon. Someone who has a smartphone can go to that community in Clarendon. They video everything. They show you the blood, the gore, everything. And we find that some people love that. Some people want to see that. They want to see everything. They want to see the blood splatter, all of that. So they will go to that person's YouTube channel or Instagram page and, feed their curiosities. As a journalist, there are certain guidelines you must follow. So in a situation like that, I shouldn't have said killed. Let's say a child was attacked and the child survived. As a journalist, we can't name the child. We won't be able to reveal any information that could trace back to the child's identity. So stuff like not showing the house, not mentioning the community, not referring to the child by name or stuff like that. People who want like everything undiluted, they are going to feel as though the journalistic reports aren't enough. And so sometimes we have to contend with that because it's almost as though you're not giving the people the information that they need or giving them everything. But really and truly, we have to be careful. And even with putting out the news, we have to ensure that people are protected and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's one of the big issues now with the social media journalists and them having everything undiluted and uncensored here.
So what is your work hours like, and do you make time to have fun?
I have a lot of fun. Yeah, man. So I'm a Sunday reporter. So I'm not required to be present at our office all the time. But during those work hours, I'm not just saying this because it's recorded. I put in the work as it relates to ensuring that when Friday comes and I have to submit, I have enough stories, so my editor can see that I actually did work. So I won't say I'm confined to any work hours in a physical space. I'm usually at home, working from home. But other than that, though, I think I've been able to strike a balance and not get too consumed and, be all about work. I'm also a poet, so I like to write. I enter a lot of poetry competitions and stuff like that. So I would say that there's a balance.
Oh, so you have won some competition as well in poetry.
Yes, in 2020, I got the Edward Ball Prize for Poetry from the National Library of Jamaica.
Okay.
And then I got a similar award just this year. It was an award of high recommendation for same category and everything. In addition to some JCBC medals. So yeah, I just love words, writing, and creating new reality.
Who are the journalists in Jamaica who have inspired you?
All right, so growing up and at the point when I wanted to be a media personality, The two people I would see every day, every night would be Darren Samuels and Michael Sharpe. You know, primetime anchors.
Mm-hmm.
So those two, sadly, they are both gone, but you know their work and their impact
Live on.
remain. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
those two, but no, one of our hard hitting journalists that inspires me would have to be Diane Jackson Miller. You
Mm-hmm.
know, her being relentless, her
Yes, she's one of the
being
best.
steadfast, and yes, getting
Mm-hmm.
to the truth or getting to the core, no matter what. That kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing is very admirable. So
Mhm. Right. What advice do you have for any aspiring journalist?
my advice to aspiring journalists is that this is a career of passion, a passion to get news out, a passion to write, and if it's TV, a passion to broadcast and stuff like that. This is not a get rich profession. It's just to feed your passion, and that is so important.
Yes.
It is
Mm-hmm.
very important. If you're passionate about something, you should chase it relentlessly, pursue it, and all things will fall into place. So just
Mm-hmm.
pursue, and you will be rewarded.
So, Romardo, before you leave, I want you to leave a message for the young men in Tivoli Gardens, a message of inspiration or encouragement.
All right, so my message to young men in Tivoli Gardens right now is to take control of your life. It is your life. You don't have to worry about what people think about you because you're from Tivoli Gardens. You don't have to worry about what your friends are doing or what other young men in the community are doing. Don't get too caught up with peer pressure. Just find your goals, find your passion, and find a dream that you want to, that you want to become a reality, and put everything in place, all the necessary steps, highlight all the necessary hurdles you have to jump over to get to that end goal, and you should be fine. Detractors will come, issues will come, there will be hurdles, but if you're focused and if you do what is right, you should be able to achieve what you want. So get to it.
Yes, and Romardo, you have proven that it can be done. You have done it, so they're actually seeing that. So I want to say thank you, though, for being here on Mind Over Matter. Really enjoyed this conversation, and continue writing. I'll continue to read the articles and continue being a role model.
Boy, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here. I enjoyed the conversation as well. And I will continue writing so you can continue reading. And boy, with God up above, I hope that I can continue to be a role model, continue to inspire. It's all God's doing, by the way.
Yes, it was great having you.